Hi. So I wanted to share with you that I joined into this wonderful group of Reading Between the Lines. It is a book club, and this first book was really perfect for me. I joined kind of late into this club, but I'm really excited that I did. The first book that we were supposed to read was by Sarah Mackenzie, and it is called The Read Aloud Family. This book, was perfect for me because I am on a homeschooling journey, starting with my youngest, but I also have older children that are in public school, and I'm really struggling just kind of in my mom ways, I guess, of um, incorporating my life and how chaotic my life is, and just trying to incorporate being a better mom and just all the new things that I'm learning through wonderful homeschooling families and homesteading and all this. Just things that I wish I had known from the start when my kids were younger. You're always learning. So this book club is really great. For one, I found a love of reading now, which is wonderful, and I want to instill that in my children. My boys like to read, my daughter not so much. So I definitely want to work on that with her. But so kind of long story short, I have four children. Three of them are mine. Two of them have a different dad, and so that was from a previous marriage, and he doesn't really support homeschooling. Um, Homesteading, all that kind of stuff is really just, he doesn't understand it. And the kids have already been in school. I've got one going into 8th grade, and I have one going into 3rd grade. So he really just doesn't want to change that with them. And I kind of understand, especially for my daughter. She's already got so much going on. She's really involved. So I'm just trying to incorporate that with my youngest, who I'm trying to work on my husband of opening up his mind and his heart to homeschooling. He is 3, and I will get to be doing preschool for him for sure, so I'm super excited about that. It's just something that's really on my heart lately, and so I'm just trying to kind of incorporate reading and bonding with my kids in different situations. And I think this book and reading aloud to them is really going to help. And I did start doing read alouds just this last month with them, and that's one of the things I'll mention. But knowing that I could read to an older child is really new to me. And also, I have my husband's son who lives like 4.5 hours away, and he's going to be a freshman in high school, and he really struggles and he hates reading. So, just trying to get everyone on the same page. I really think this book gave me some really good ideas on just bonding and getting us to become a better family, for one. So, a closer family. So, I had 10 questions that I had to answer. So, let me go through that with you. The first question is, what did you like best about the book? And I'm sorry, I have my notes down here, so I'm going to be looking up and down. So I liked every part of the book, to be honest, but I really liked that there were so many books that I had heard of, or a lot of them I hadn't heard of, but just I never really thought about the importance of maybe reading those. And because I never liked reading a lot of them, I was like, why would my kid want to read that either? So I was really impressed with that. There was really great conversation starters at the end of the book, which is really helpful because I noticed when I'm reading the book, I really don't know what to like ask them sometimes at the end, especially because I'm reading a series called The Land of Stories to them, and we're only a couple chapters in. But again, as I said, I have very different age groups. So what my older kids can understand, and what my youngest is huge difference. So that really kind of helps to just get some basic conversations going with them. I really liked also in the back of the book, there's an index by age, and there's chapters called meeting them where they are, which again, for me, and that's kind of why I wanted you to understand the dynamics of my family. For this book, it was so perfect for me because each chapter touched on an age group of one of my kids. So it's really helped me to understand how to focus in on that age group and incorporate everybody together. So that's what I would say about what I liked best about this book. The second question is, what did you like least? There was nothing that I didn't like about the book. It was a wonderful book. It was an easy read. It was just easy to pick up and go. It was something that I could just kind of read as I'm doing stuff, and I didn't feel like I had to really think too hard. It was really easy to understand. Number 3, share a favorite quote from your book, and then why did that quote stand out to you? So the quote that I picked, I liked, that stood out to me was, a book can't change the world on its own, but a book can change readers, and readers, they can change the world. I really truly understand that as I'm now learning to love books myself. It's changing who I am inside, which is making me want to be a better mom, a better person, a better wife. Just so it's opening my eyes to things in the world that I wouldn't have seen just because I'm reading books. And I'm learning to read different genres of books. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Just really enjoying getting to read. And I'm starting to come into a good season in my life right now. As hard as it is that I don't have any more like babies around the house, my youngest is 3.5, and we now have him potty trained, and I've always co-slept with all of my children, and that might not be for you, and that's okay. I don't really want to hear the comments about it, but it has worked for me, and just with the season of life that I've had to go through and the things that I've gone through, it was very important to me and my children. And so I finally felt like it was time for him to move on into his big boy bed, and he's sharing a room with his older brother. So my husband and I are getting time just to lay in bed and read. And neither of us have been readers, so it's just really great that it's kind of helped me to also share that time with my husband. Granted, we're reading different books, but we did read like a book together for our marriage, and just gives us time to just be together. We don't need to be talking or doing anything. Just gives us some downtime that we don't get because we're always interrupted, by kids. So it's just a really great time of learning loves of books. So to me, that quote really means a lot. Number 4, would you read another book by this author? Absolutely. I loved her, and I loved, again, how she comes across with things. I've always struggled with comprehension, so some books, when they're changing characters, like I'm reading an Amish book right now, and it's really hard for me to, like, go back and figure out, like, okay, who are they talking about? Wait, was that somebody else? So it was really easy to follow. So I liked that. And I like how she had it broke up into like 3 sections. And so they weren't just chapters. They were like actually important sections and what you needed to know. So it's also definitely a great book that I can keep on my homeschooling shelf that I can go back to years and years from now as we go through those different seasons, with the kids, and I need to just pull some basic information. I did a lot of like dog tagging and little notes on the side and highlighting so I could easily go back to where I would want that information. Number 5, what feeling did this book evoke for you? I would definitely say excitement and hope. It gives me hope that I can bring all my kids together, and it gives me excitement that I'm becoming a better mom and we're working together as a better family. It's just giving our family a good start. And it's been a rough start for our, newer family the last few years. So I think we're on the right path here. Let's see. Number 6, would you recommend this book? Of course, absolutely. Number 7, what things did I learn? Tons. I learned something in every paragraph, every sentence. Um, and but the most important things that I picked out of this book was you don't need to sit still to read, and actually it's better that they're not sitting still. Um, and it can be any book. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare or, these huge books. It can be just any little picture book, just the time that you're spending. And also that it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be hours of your time. You're not having to fit this in. It's something that you can just do as part of your life. You can do it while you're cooking dinner. Like one of the persons was talking about how her husband would read while she was prepping dinner. And that's a really great idea. And then just having snacks and different things available to your kids. So the other thing that I learned, part of that is the not sitting still and having special things when you're reading aloud that you can easily grab, and you're not taking time looking for your information, or not your stuff that you're wanting to do, and that it's easily accessible, as well as your book. If you're putting your book away or it's in a nightstand or something like that, you're not going to read it as often, and that's very true. So I'm making like a whole command center for our house and just trying to get more organized and stuff, especially with us doing a homeschool. So I'm going to be setting up my basement as a homeschool room. So I've got a basket of all our read alouds and my book, and a section, where the kids are reading, so that we can easily be grabbing those. And then in another video, I will share with you, there's a collaboration actually going on about what we're putting in a read aloud basket, book, bag, whatever. So I will go into detail on that later. So definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see that collaboration coming up with all these wonderful ladies. And I just thought that was a really great idea, especially having snacks, popsicles, things like that. Going outside anytime, anytime, anywhere, you can be reading. Just 10 minutes every other day is all you really need. And what questions do I still have? I really don't have any questions. It was that great of a book, and it just explained every detail of what you need to do for every age group. So I really liked that. Number 9, did the book change my opinion or perspective about anything, and do I feel different now than before I read it? Again, my perspective was changed about the amount of reading, the type of books that I could be reading that are beneficial. It doesn't have to be important stories. And the not sitting still, because when I first started my read aloud this month, I was constantly to my little one, sit still, stop doing that, stop it. And he's not listening to the story. And then it's taking away from my other kids who are sitting there listening to the story. So him getting to have movable time, and also my kids are learning and listening better by being occupied and not having to sit there and focus. They're getting to absorb that information so much better. Also, I really learned about that audiobooks are great. And I've never really been an audiobook person, so I've never introduced those to my children. I did introduce them just recently when I started this book for my daughter. She read she didn't read, it read to her 4 or 5 chapters while she was cleaning and organizing her room. And that was 4 or 5 chapters that she wouldn't have read in a book that she wouldn't have normally picked out. So it opened her eyes to new things, and now she wants to see the movie. She was doing Divergent. So again, for someone who doesn't like to read, it was a way for me to open my daughter's eyes to something new. And so we have a road trip coming up, and we will be doing some audiobooks as well as some read alouds that are going to go along with our theme of where we're going, because we're going a couple different places. So I'm really excited to introduce audiobooks to them, as well as when I start homeschooling my youngest. It'll be great ways because we'll be going so many places here and there and trotting the kids back to different schools and all that. It'll be a great time for them, instead of just always hearing music or radio. they'll get some new knowledge, and it's a different way of training their brain to get information. So I really like that. So that's going to be a new thing that we'll be adding every time we go to the library. Each kid, I want them picking out a audiobook as well as a book that they're going to be reading, as well as books we're going to be reading together and they're reading, so that we can take turns and everyone is hearing new things, that they're learning new genres that they wouldn't normally just pick up. Maybe they'll want to read something different. And number 10, what surprised you most about the book? I was really surprised at all the statistics that she mentioned about reading aloud to your children and not them having to read books for education purposes. They need to be reading for the love of books and the love of knowledge, not that they're forced to do it, or they're forced because they have an AR test. They're forced because they have to write an essay or a report. Those are the things that I'm struggling with my kids being in public school. I can't cater to those. It's stuff that, sorry, my cat knocked something out of my closet. It's something that they have to do. So it really does take away the love of reading because it's forced and it's something that they don't want to be doing, or it's information they could give a rat's butt about, they just don't care. So they're not going to read, and they're just going to fly through it, and they're not going to learn anything really. So that was something that I really liked about it, and it's going to give me new insight into my upcoming homeschooling for my youngest, which will help me in that future. So again, I definitely recommend this book. It was amazing. Please check out that description box below because there will be a playlist of everyone else that's in this private reading group. Again, it's called Reading Between the Lines. We do have another book coming up that we will be reading and posting a video for around the same time in September. So I'm really excited to be doing that. And let me know if you've read this book, what you got out of it, or if you haven't read the book, but maybe you're doing read-alouds. What are you reading? What age are your children? I would absolutely love to know how you're incorporating that. Or, again, like I mentioned, we'll be doing a collaboration of our read-aloud baskets and stuff. If you're interested in that and you do read-alouds, let me know. We can give you that information so you can join in that wonderful collaboration with some awesome moms and get some insight into how other people do read-alouds. So again, Sarah McKenzie, the Read Aloud family. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that thumbs up if you liked this video, and also the notification bell. I have lots of videos coming up with new homeschool setup. I have the homeschool room setup, planning, tons of hauls, and I'll be having some freezer meals coming up, some fun lunch, like bento box lunches and themed lunches, and just lots coming up. So I'd really like to get to know you and your family and your dynamics, because every family is so different. So this book would really help you, just like it helped me, to pull in all of your chaos, as I'm sure all of you have. I'm not the only one. But thanks again for watching the video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day and go read a book. Bye.